It's me. I'm back. Another Merry Maxim. Unboxing, revealing, and reviewing. We're only about halfway through spring, and I think we're already getting excited for summer nights. Just a little hint, I've already looked in the bag. However, stick with me just another minute or so, and I will unbox this for you, reveal, and then we will review. And typically with these Merry Maxim kits and all my other kits usually, at least in terms of these subscription kits, sometimes I make the pattern that comes with the kit, and sometimes I do a different pattern, but I always use the same yarn. So hang tight to the end of this video so you can see how that yarn looks and how it works up and what I've decided to do. Hi, my name is Sig, and this is Essential Crochet, and you are always welcomed here. As usual, I encourage you to hit that subscribe bar if you haven't already done so. Like the video if you want to see more content like this, or you just simply enjoyed the information you received. Or leave a comment below. I do my best to always answer every comment that's left for me within a day or so. But with all that said, let's just go ahead and get started. Today's pattern from the Merry Maxim subscription kit is going to be the Royal Street Shawl. And the pattern seems to be a Lion brand pattern, or maybe it's just the yarn. I'm not entirely sure, but I want to also think that the shawl is a Lion brand pattern. So Merry Maxim, I know Merry Maxim does work with other yarn companies from time to time when putting their kits together. So your shawl looks like your basic beginner shawl. I mean, and that's okay. The size of it on the mannequin looks good. All right, so let's look a little deeper into this. So they tell us the full size of the shawl is going to be about 34 by 72 inches. 86.5 by 183 centimeters at its longest and widest. So that's actually a pretty decent size for most people. The materials is going to be the Lion brand Summer Nights yarn. So now for the Summer Nights yarn, they're giving us 3 skeins of this. And so we're looking at a 3.5 ounce skein and 100 grams. So for 100 grams, we're going to have 437 yards or 400 meters. Now that's pretty good. And in fact, they tell you on the label here that 2 of these skeins of yarn is enough to make your shawl. And Merry Maxim has given us 3 of these skeins for this pattern. Now the yarn itself is a blend, 82% acrylic and 18% polyester. And you know, I actually really like this yarn. In fact, I have this yarn and I have this yarn in various other colorways. And the yarn itself really has a feel of cotton. I realize it's polyester and acrylic. And so, yeah, it kind of surprises me too. But I like the yarn. I like the way it drapes. I personally use this yarn on things like baby outfits. I think it's a wonderful yarn to use in lieu of, let's say, Aunt Lydia's size 10 crochet thread. And then, of course, with this little bit of filigree in there, it gives just a nice little sparkle that most little girls really enjoy. And the variegation of their yarns, I think, are nice. I think the balance of colors in the yarn itself really works for me. So this yarn is a super fine yarn or a size 1. It recommends using an E hook. Now, depending on what I'm using this yarn for, because like I said, I've worked with this yarn quite a bit in the past, and I actually like this yarn, even though the yarn itself sort of lends itself to more a specific look. And so you might find that you're challenged in finding a project that you feel this yarn might be appropriate for. Now, they tell us that when you wash this yarn, you can wash it, but you're going to want to wash it on a cool. So 40 degrees Celsius, 105 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want to go any hotter than that. So it's just a cool wash, but you can wash it in a washing machine. Just keep it cool. They're telling you no bleach. Of course, you can dry it, but don't use an iron. And also do not dry clean. Castaway is the actual colorway of this Summer Nights brand of yarn. Okay, so that's all right. I can be happy with that. Now, for the shawl that they're giving us to do here, it really is very beginner friendly in that the first 3 rows of this shawl is going to set you up for the piece, and then your 4th row is the row that you're going to continue to repeat until you've completed your shawl. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. You're working with V-stitches as a general rule. There's really not much to this. So like I said, for a beginner, this is really nice. This is a good forgiving, fine yarn to work with. So even if you're new at this or you're new with working with a finer yarn, I think this is going to be a good project for you. However, I am not really a shawl person per se, but I knew exactly what I wanted to use this project for because I've had a request for it, and I was really kind of thinking about the yarn in terms of the request. I was kind of, playing out in my head what type of yarn would best be a good yarn to, or appropriate yarn for the piece that I was being asked to make. And when I saw this yarn, it was like, this would be a great yarn. It's got just enough sparkle to give it personality, just enough color to make it really unique. Let's just go ahead and get right into what it was that I chose to make. So as you could see in the picture, what I was asked to make is actually a stuffy hammock. And this worked out very well. Right down to pretty much the dimensions. Even the dimensions of the shawl were super similar to the dimensions that I needed to work with for the stuffy hammock. Now, I guess if you wanted to, you could certainly follow the pattern for the shawl and put some little hooks or some kind of a tie at each corner and simply use the shawl as a stuffy hammock, of course. I went a little simpler than that. And I think I probably even used less yarn because I only went through, I don't know, maybe 105 grams of this Summer's Night Castaway yarn. And so now I've got plenty of that left over that I can put in a stash. I have, almost 2 full skeins. So that works out well for me because I actually like the yarn. I'm actually happy to have the yarn. And so I'm happy to put it in a stash for a future project. Now, as you can see, I basically used a plastic bone, basically this circle ring right here that you see on the inside, and I created my eyelet in which to hang each corner off of. So all my corners are basically made the same way. And then as you can see, I just made the net. Now, being an acrylic polyester blend, this net has enough shape to it that it's going to hold those plushy toys very well, and it's going to form around them nicely and give it that real hammock look. Now, this hammock took me approximately 2, maybe 3 days to just sit down and work on. I mean, I didn't work on it straight through, but it's pretty mindless. I mean, you're just really making a mesh, and then of course what I've done in terms of making the edging and the eyelets for hanging. If you're interested in this, by the time this video comes out, it should only be, another few days after that I will actually drop a tutorial video on how to make this stuffy hammock. But otherwise, I'm not really too sure what else to say about it. I mean, I like the yarn. I like the drape of the yarn. I like the color of the yarn. And then because I like working with finer yarns in terms of weight, it's easy for me to be okay with this. Now, if you have never worked with a finer yarn before and you're just a beginner, I think this is a great place to start. So in terms of this kit, I am not unhappy with the kit at all. While it certainly isn't my flavor in terms of projects, I think it's a great project on a lot of different levels for the beginning crocheter. So now if you're an intermediate crocheter but you've never worked with a finer yarn, I think this is a good project. If you're an advanced crocheter and you just want something that's going to have a nice drape, that's going to work up and maybe not so quickly, but quick enough, in that the row, it's just a one row repeat. You know, you take care of your first 3 basic rows, and then from your 4th row on, you just repeat row 4. And so this is one of those pieces that you can just simply sit in front of the TV, or, you know, you can have a conversation with a friend and just work on this because it's pretty mindless and repetitive. And so just more meditative than anything else, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. So yeah, I think this was a good project. I typically like at least the amount of yarn that I get from Mary Maxim, and typically they usually give me a yarn that I'm good with. It's not a high value yarn, but for their moderately priced yarns, it's always a good solid yarn, and that is all I can ask for, and that works for me. Okay, so now's the time for me to thank you for spending this time with me today, and to also let you know that I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So remember, stay safe and keep being your creative, awesome selves. Bye-bye now.